So the light is to rule the day. So here we see, and then we're looking at when we are looking all the way from, I'm reading, 14, when I see in 14, then I see that he heard about this Lot, there was a fight going on, and then we see, that he did a fight. So he fighted for his ministry. He took it all back. So it's like he restored. So now he came to a place, because in the secret, when he was in a place of peace, after he separated from the Lord, he was like, it's a peace, and he trained himself. He actually became a fighter. When you are in the place of peace, that is like you are restoring it, in prayer, in reading word, it is restoring, it is becoming strong. But then he has to fight. In Genesis 14, he has to fight to bring Lot back, and then he restored all, and he came as a victorious. He won the battle. So he won the battle in the secret, and now here we see he won the battle. So when he won the battle, and that is the time that when he won the battle, he became the possessor, because when he won the battle, he came to a place and he met Melchizedek, the high priest. And he gave him, he brought to him, then Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of God Most High. And here we see, and he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abraham of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth." Now he became a possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. So when you are fighting, it is God who is winning the fight from behind. God is at front, and God is the one who is behind the scene fighting for his people. And here we see that God was fighting for him, and here we see that Abraham became victorious. So you have to trust God. You have to, understand that God is behind, because he's the one fighting for it. So you have to fight for your ministry, and God is backing up, and he is giving the victory, because the Bible says battle belongs to the Lord. In Chronicle it said battle belongs to the Lord, and victory belongs to us. And we are called to be victorious, because Jesus won the victory. Jesus won the success. And here we see Jesus, here we see that he is telling that it is God behind. So God has brought the victory to him. It's Jesus. So here we see then he gave him tenth and a tithe of all. He gave him a tithe of all. It became now the provision now. So we see here is a provision. When you're fighting for your vision, when you are fighting for your ministry, when you're fighting for your dream, the provision is already there. It showed up. Here, the provision showed up, that the provision, when he gave tenth to the priest, to the Melchizedek, to Jesus, he brought. And that's according to Malachi 10, Malachi 3:10. And that is bring all the tithes, and then he opened the windows of heaven. Here we see that the window of heaven is open. He became the possessor because he brought tithes. So he brought tithes first. No, first he became a possessor, then he brought the tithe. We see here now, how do you need to fight for your dream? When you fight for your dream, God is backing up, is behind, because the dream, the vision, is not the human, it's God's given. It's a higher life, higher vision of God. He's given the ministry. So when you're fighting for your vision, when you're fighting for your ministry, you have to fight in the prayer. You have to fight And that's where we see that Abraham, when he became a fighter, that's where Melchizedek showed up, the high priest, and he said, now you are the possessor of heaven and earth. And he said that it is God behind you who won the victory for you. And that's where it says that when you are fighting for your ministry, you're not alone. God is with us and He is wherever we go. We see here that he has to first separate from the things. He has to separate himself from, things that he was carrying, of the, it can be anything, because it mentioned lot, and I have share what is the lot mean. In Jekiah's we see, and that is in Luke 19. If we also look 19, and I want to share in Luke 19 when Jekiah, he heard his vision, he heard his ministry. Jekiah mentioned something, and he said in 19, and in 19, and it says in verse 3, and he sought to see who Jesus was. So he want to see his vision, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. Now here he also saw that his the vision he cannot see because of the crowd. So here he also, for he was of short stature, so he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. Here, when he did this, and when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him. Here we see that Jekiah did something. He also saw there's a crowd, lots of voices, and you can see, maybe sometime you're in a place, in a church, and you see there's a lots of crowd, and it can be hindered. It can, because there's a lots of voices, lots of opinion, and lots of advices. And here he saw that he need to separate from every other advices, and he has to just focus on the vision, and he has to focus on the dream. So what he did, he separated himself, and he began to prepare. He began to work towards his vision, towards his ministry. And when he did this, he saw that Jesus saw. And what did Jesus saw? Jekiah on the tree. Jesus saw his work. Reference, I can share it. And in 3, Jesus said, I know your work. See, I have opened, no one can shut. So when you prepare and you separate from the things and you give and you put focus your ministry, your vision at front, that's where he opened, because you need to prepare. So here we see you have to fight for your vision, and you have to fight for your dream, your ministry. Jekiah fight for his ministry. He separated himself from the things, and we see Abraham, until he became a fighter, he did not he did not actually saw the provision. He actually was not a possessor of heaven and earth. It was mentioned in Genesis 14 that when he fought and came and won the victory, and he restored, and that's where Jesus. So Jesus is the priest, high priest Melchizedek. It represents in Hebrew. So here we see Jesus brought the bread and wine. So that is we see Holy Communion. So he became he now is in the kingdom, and we see, because a Holy Communion represents that by taking Holy Communion you are a kingdom citizen, a kingdom. And here we see how Melchizedek, he appeared because Abraham fought for his ministry, and he did not despise, but he fight. and he fought, and that's where we see that he became the possessor of heaven and earth. And it mentioned that God, it says that God gave his enemy into his hand. So he won the victory over the enemy by fighting. And that is a fighting for your ministry. Even there was a strife, he was moving upward, he was forgiving, and he was moving upward. We see Genesis 26:12, that Isaac was moving upward when he was increasing towards his ministry, and there was a strife